Welcome back to Canada's Real Deal. I'm your host, Anika Dogra, a mortgage agent level 2 in Ontario.
And I'm your other host, Anuj Dogra, and I'm a real estate broker in the Greater Toronto Area. And today we have a very special guest, my business partner and very good friend, Niveda.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
We're so excited to have you, Niveda. So why don't we get started and you introduce yourself a little bit, and how did you get into real estate, or when did you start?
Okay. So hi, my name is Niveda. I'm a part of Signature Estates. I'm Anuj's partner. I do real estate full time now. I was licensed in January 2023. However, I didn't really start and go fully into real estate until about September 2023. But like I said, now I'm like fully into it, committed to it, and yeah, learning a lot every single day.
So how was it when you first started in real estate?
Good question. I started at the worst time possible. The market was literally the worst for the past, 2 years. And that's kind of when I started. So learning was tough. The scenarios were very different. It wasn't your typical 2019, 2020, 2022 era where, anything you wanted was selling and people were just buying left, right, and center. Things definitely took a lot more time. But I must say, I think I've done fairly well for doing real estate for like 1 full year properly. Like I said, learned a lot, and Anuja's taught me a lot. And all I can say is no 2 transactions are the same, and they never will be. And there's been a lot of wild things that's happened, but you know what? We'll save that for another day.
Yeah, I can totally relate because I started around the same time you did. And that was like just the most, it's like when everything just took a dive, and all the amazing things you heard about real estate and mortgages, that it was like the golden era, files or deals would come on your desk. It was nothing like that by the time we got into the business. But they always say, if you survive the past 2 years, you've learned so much because there's just so many unique things happening that you'll survive anything.
Yeah, and I think it made both of you guys a better real estate agent and a better broker, because she's literally experienced the worst of deals in just the span of 1 year.
Yeah, I've been witness to it. There's a lot on a regular basis. I hear the craziest stories from you two. Like I can't even believe it.
It would take us a whole nother episode just to go through that.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it one day.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's like unreal things that you wouldn't even think. But,
yeah. Write it down so we have it for the future.
Will do.
So what do you think that the difference between your experience coming into it was and your experience? Like what, because like we said, I feel like the last 2 years accelerated your learning. But what was it like? Was it more straightforward? Was everything more smooth when you started out? And when did you start out?
I think, okay, I'll go first then. I started about 6 years ago, and I wouldn't say it's smoother, but it's an gradual transition, right? You could take things slowly in the beginning and you can build yourself up and be successful in a year or two from now, right? I started in 2019, so it was more of a balanced market. And then 2020, we saw a bit of a decline with COVID, right? But that was only the beginning few months of COVID, right? After that, everything skyrocketed. And if you took advantage during those slow months, which me and my investors definitely did, we were set up during COVID. And like she said, everything was, you list it and it was sold the next day. Hundreds of thousands over asking, very easy. Some people gave an offer blind. They didn't even see the property and they would purchase our property. So it's definitely a much easier time once you had that base set up. But when you're looking for opportunities starting now, I think it's much harder. And I know from the beginning of a transaction now, there's going to be some sort of hurdle, whether it's from financing or marketing and trying to sell, there's going to be something, right? Yes. So for people starting now, I personally think it's harder, but Niveda can say for
I was going to say, or because you're my partner, you'll have to deal with these hurdles because somehow my transactions always have something. But you know what? I guess it's a blessing in disguise because you learn to deal with different things all the time. For me, starting, to be completely honest, when I basically wasn't really doing any transactions for the first year, I think it was because I couldn't really get into it. I didn't really know where to start, which is really hard for anyone coming in even now. Like already the market is slow, right? So you're kind of confused on what to do. Like if you ask me today, if I was to monitor somebody or like give advice to someone starting, like I would have so much to tell them. Be like, you can do X, Y, Z, or you should be doing all of this and you can get yourself going.
Yeah.
But back then I didn't really have somebody to tell me what to do and how to start. So like, I think one of the best things that's happened was like going to Royal LePage Associates Realty, being with a team, meeting Anuj. Like I've learned so much, like I said, in like a span of a year and a bit, that I don't think I would have learned otherwise. Even as simple as like, I can do my own paperwork now. Like, do I get her to check it time to time? Yeah, of course. Cause sometimes I miss things and that's the reality of it. Yeah. But the fact that in this day and age, not a lot of people do their own paperwork. It's a good skill to have because even when you're receiving offers and you're the one selling something, you know what to look for in the agreements and stuff, right? So these are all important lessons to learn. And Anuj was like very keen from day one, being like, you have to like do your own paperwork. Like that was like a non-negotiable thing.
Yeah. I think that's a really good skill to have because like you said, it builds your skills in other areas of real estate, I think, to know how to review things and see mistakes, catch them so that you can avoid problems in the future. And it's just always good to go over the fundamentals, I think, right? So with that being said, I feel like you're saying like mentorship and partnership and support help make you successful once you start taking this seriously. But what made you decide to take it seriously? Like the first year you weren't so into it, but what made you make that switch?
I quit my full-time job. Okay. But at the same time, I have a men's clothing line. I was working like my husband at the time my husband had a restaurant. So also was working there. So I was doing like 4 things at once. And it just became really difficult to kind of handle. And I had to let the full-time go. Mm-hmm. So that really helped me focus because like then money wasn't coming in because I was when your paycheck's coming every 2 weeks, you're kind of like, okay, like I'll do it next week. But that's not the case. Like it wasn't the case as soon as I quit. Like I had to do transaction to get paid.
Yeah, absolutely. So then if I feel like you had like that fire in your belly, right? And I think Anuj also had another job when you started out. And then you slowly had to transition into full-time agents. So now you guys both are doing this full-time. Do you guys think that being full-time agents has made you guys better agents? Do you think it's necessary to be a full-time agent if you want to be good at or to be successful in this industry? Like, what are your opinions?
I think it is pretty necessary because the thing about real estate is like, there's no time for you to stop. Like you're working 24/7, especially when it comes to residential, right? Like your client might not just want to see homes or, businesses after 5 or during the weekends. Like you need to be readily available for phone calls, questions. Like people are closing transactions during the day. After 5, all the law offices are closed. Like they're not going to call you after 5.
Yeah.
Like they want you to be available and ready during the day. So the one thing about being part-time, kudos to the people that do it because it's really hard. Like for me, like I said, like I couldn't do it because it was hard for me to focus my attention on different things. But being full-time, like I think like you said, it creates that fire in your belly because you need the income. Like you have to work hard and like I said, like you're more available to your clients and you learn a lot more, I would say. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but for me, that's the truth.
Yeah, I think it's as long as you're motivated to learn, you can make it work, but it definitely makes it a lot easier when you're focusing on it full time. What do you think, Anuj?
Honestly, I think if you're going to take real estate seriously, you should be doing it full time. I did try in the beginning to do it part time because I had a job I really loved, but it was so chaotic. I would go during my lunch breaks to a presentation center for a pre-con release and then sign things up quickly and then come back like 30 minutes back and that was my lunch break done. And imagine I said no and they missed out and that thing was sold within 2 hours, right? So I don't think it's a viable excuse to say, okay, I have a full-time job. Sorry, I couldn't get you that deal that you want, which would have translated to hundreds of thousands potentially in a few years from now. It's not a good enough excuse. Do I think you should go part-time in the beginning? I think yes, if you don't have that safety net. You don't get paid until things close, right? So that could be, weeks from now or months, even a year if you didn't do any trading that year, right? So I think in the beginning, it does make sense while you're learning and getting your foot into the game. Probably you can continue being a part-time agent and have a full-time job on the side, make those connections and then take advantage of it. But realistically, it is a round the clock job and probably like more than a full-time job. And if you're not able to service your clients properly, they're not as lenient as most people think.
But I also think they'll find somebody else that will service them 24/7, right? Because like at the end of the day, like a consumer wants what they want. Yep. So if you're not available and you're not providing it to them, like you could be the nicest person in the world, but people want their money and people want their investments. So that's the one thing you don't want to mess up. Because then that one client could translate into 2-3 other transactions later on, down the road. Yep. But then you mess up that one chance, they're not coming back to you.
Yeah. And this is like the biggest purchase of their life.
Exactly.
And so I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, oh, this is easy money for me. Yeah. I just work a couple hours on a thing and I'm going to make thousands. So it's just an easy job. But there's so much like knowledge that you need to have. There's so much respect that you have to have for the client. And there's so much, like you just have to understand the gravity of what kind of investment that they're making and really put them first. You actually have to care about other people if you want to be good in a role like this, I think.
Yeah, it's a service job, right? You're providing service, and that's what sets you apart from another agent. So if you're not giving your full service, how can you expect them to stay on board with you for their next investment? Yeah. Sometimes we've seen irrevocable times in 2-3 hours, and you have to make a decision then. And if you're doing something else and you don't even see the offer coming in being registered, you didn't tell your client in time and then you lost it, right?
I almost want to share stories of like the realtors that are like, it's a Saturday night, I'm out, I can't deal with this, right? It's like, and then, like we've been there like, what are you talking about? Like that is your job. It doesn't matter where you are right now. You need to be doing that. So yeah, it takes a special type of person, I think, to actually really commit to this. And on top of that, I think it's not just about the service. It's also like constantly keeping yourself updated on all these other factors that are happening, so that you can actually make sure you're giving your clients the proper advice in a timely manner, right? Because things are always changing. And with that being said, like right now, we're seeing a lot of like rental prices go down. Do you guys have like any insight about why rental prices are going down? Do you guys suggest renting over buying, or do you guys still suggest buying over renting, or do you think it just depends on the client? Like, what are your thoughts?
I really do think it depends on the client and what they can qualify for. Like, obviously, I think at the end of the day, anybody would want to own a house. You don't want to keep paying for rent and like losing that money, right? Whereas if it's your own house, that equity is going to be there as you're paying down your mortgage. The reason why we're seeing rental prices go down is because there's been tighter, rules about immigration. There's not as many, Canada is tightening its borders. Also with the interest rates dropping, more people are opting to buy. So there's no need for them to like rent. So the renting like offers is not competitive anymore. Like you're not getting 2 or 3 people offering to rent the same place, unless it's something like maybe amazing.
Yeah.
So that's a couple of things. I don't know if Anuj wants to add on.
Yeah. So we also have the foreign buyer ban, right? So people are not investing into the real estate market as they usually did before. And the other thing is projects get completed all together, right? So if a project's in occupancy, they're going to want to try to get that renter as fast as they can because the occupancy rates are so high because the interest rates are so high, right? So then they'll try to beat off their next competitor and then lower their rental price. And once you set that as a precedent for the rental price in that building, for that floor plan, then everyone else has to follow, right? So then you see this pattern of slowly rent starts going down.
Yeah.
Right? And
dealing with that right now, actually, in one of my transactions. Like initially, the rent was anywhere between like $2,900 to $3,200. But now somebody with a nice unit there has rented it for $25,000. So that's now become the base price.
Oh.
And so like, obviously I have to tell my client, which I did. But we're just kind of, waiting it out. But like once someone sets that standard, that's it. Like it's hard to go back on.
See, when people say like real estate agents are ruining the market, it's when real estate agents like don't price things properly that ruins it for everyone else in that building or in that neighborhood as well, right? Mm-hmm. And I think another reason that rental prices are going down is that there's so many condos that are being built and they're just flooding the market. And typically these condos are investment properties, right? The type of people who buy them are investors and they're looking to rent them out. So there's so much available as well. And we just need to see if there's actually going to be that much demand for it. But thank you so much for giving all your insights today. I think future realtors, future investors learned a lot. So thank you so much for joining us.
I want to add one thing.
Okay.
And to everybody saying real estate is easy, talk to me later. Because it's not. Like, I know it seems like we get a big paycheck, but we are working like, it's not even overtime. I don't even know what it is. Like, anywhere I go on a trip, anywhere we go, her laptop's coming, my laptop's coming, her laptop's coming. Like, you know how you said there's some realtors say it's Saturday night? Like, that's not us.
Yeah.
Like, someone's always on it.
We have a mobile office in our cars all the time, guys.
Yeah. If you see a snap, that's what it is. So yeah, next time, like, feel bad for your realtor, or like, give them some extra love, because they're working as hard as they can to make sure you get the best deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Niveda, for coming on our channel. If you want to hear some of her wild stories, let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.